Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I'm Chris Hill, General Sales Manager of WBZ News Radio, and we want to thank all of you for coming this morning as we celebrate our 15th year of our WBZ News Radio Business Breakfast Series. And this morning, of course, we have Sir Richard Branson, and we are delighted to have him here and want to give special thanks to all of our sponsors who made this possible this morning. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Senior Vice President, General Manager of WBZ News Radio, Ted Jordan.
Thanks, Chris. 2 minutes. This is what my staff has given me. It's amazing. I can't even tell a joke in 2 minutes. And trying to convince you what WBZ does in 2 minutes, the million listeners we have a week, I mean, it's like trying to show somebody how smart you are by reading a list of books that you've read. So along that thought, I said, maybe the best thing I can do in 2 minutes is show you the list of books that we have read, the list of speakers that we have had at this event over the last couple of years. From sports, John Henry. Politics, John McCain. And that was such a popular one, as soon as we invited him and he flew out here on his dime, John Kerry called us and said, could I appear with him? Last year, Ted Kennedy, and we've had 4 Massachusetts governors, as well as George Stephanopoulos, Katie Couric, and so many others. The most popular one to now was the one we did one morning with Jack Welch. That one filled up incredibly fast, but not nearly as fast as this one did. We opened the phone lines, and within 48 hours, this is the result of what our radio station brought in. We are thrilled to have you here this morning. We think this is great. I'm also thrilled that Chris kicked it off, because the BZ Business Breakfasts are her original brainchild 15 years ago. In fact, this is the 30th one we've done. I'd also like to thank Bob Weiss from Travel New England, who really helped us coordinate this one this morning. Not only was this the fastest one to ever fill up, I think this is going to be the most interesting one. We've had businessmen and entrepreneurs, and we try and prove every time we do one of this how connected WBZ is to the business community. But we've never had a sir, and we've never had somebody who defines entrepreneurial spirit and energy like Sir Richard Branson. I think once you see this, you'll agree.
Everybody at Virgin loves a challenge. I think what Virgin is about is taking on big conglomerates and moving into their territory and seeing if we can shake them up. You know, we've managed to do that in the music business, we've managed to do that in the aviation business, in the mobile phone business, and I think that where the people who work for Virgin get their passion from is being proud of the company they work for, being proud of the difference that Virgin's making.
I've spent my life doing things people said were impossible. you only live once. Enjoy it.
Welcome, Sir Richard Branson. So you are I understand you are the first humanoid produced by Virgin Double. Is that true?
You got it.
There's your mic. You can't hear you there.
Are we practicing?
Yes.
This is the real deal?
There's Richard Branson.
Okay, here we go. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much.
His idea. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Well, I just found this guy doing all these autographs for all these pretty girls.
We just met about 3 minutes ago. He came over to the table, and Richard said, "You go up first." That was terrific.
I was in London about a year ago, and I was walking past this school, and there was this 13-year-old girl, and she came up to me and she said, "Do you know something? You look just like that Richard Branson bloke." So I said, "Well, thank you." And she said, "May I make a suggestion?" She said, "I think you should sign up to a lookalike agency." She said, "You may not make as big a fortune as him, but you'll make an absolute fortune."
Well, if you could have doubles all over the world, the empire could get even larger.
That's true. I could also. I did have one other thing that happened once. Was this girl came and knocked on my door. My wife answered the door, and she said, "Is Richard there?" And my wife said, "Well, yes, but who are you?" She said, "Well, I've been the one having an affair with him for the last 2 years." Anyway, this double who pretended to be me had an absolute ball going up and down the west coast of America. So, but anyway, maybe we'll swap. I think we might.
Well,
swap
thank you very
positions.
much. I really appreciate it. Give him a little hand there for his impromptu appearance. Now, Richard, this is sort of a tame way for you to come into a city. We expected you to maybe parachute onto Boston Common, jet ski in the harbor. Are you cutting back on your daring do?
I'm not particularly, but no, we did check out the roof and see whether a hot air balloon could land here, but we were slightly worried about missing. What's your equivalent of the Hudson here? Anyway, ending up in
I understand. Well, welcome, and I really appreciate your appearance here at WBZ's Business Breakfast. My name is Anthony Silva, and we've been doing this for a very long time. What's that?
You're a sailor, aren't you?
I am excited.
Yeah. No, we're not cutting back because we're getting into your profession at the moment. We're trying to beat the transatlantic sailing record. So that's something I'm doing with my kids. So I've managed to wheel them into a bit of adventurism at the moment.
Exactly. Now, tell me about your company, Virgin America. You're launching today and tomorrow here in Boston. And I understand the bookings are already the strongest of any of the startup cities around the country.
Yes, and you weren't an afterthought. It wasn't the fact that Chicago couldn't find any slots for us that we ended up in Boston, I can promise you. No, I mean, I've been trying for 20 years to get permission to be involved with an airline in America. Because I have an English accent, I'm not allowed to actually own an airline in America. So finally, we managed to convince the authorities that if we took a minority stake, they would allow Virgin to get set up in the States. And the reason I so badly wanted to get an airline set up in America was I'd over the years traveled quite a lot on domestic carriers, and the experience was not a pleasant one. I mean, it is very strange because America and Americans can pride themselves with creating, some of the most beautiful hotels in the world. I'm staying in a prison here in Boston, but I can assure you, it's the most comfortable prison I've ever stayed in.
They took the bars down.
Some of the best restaurants, and obviously Boston is famous for its restaurants. Some of the best clubs. I mean, everything Americans do is the best. But somehow, the people who actually run your big airlines seem to have forgotten that customers actually would like to, be entertained, and they'd like to have pleasant, comfortable seats and a smiling staff and decent food and all these things. And so, what Virgin loves to do is go into areas where things are not run that well and see if we can come and shake up, as I said earlier, shake up an industry, and the domestic airline industry definitely needs shaking up.
As an example, just yesterday, United Airlines announced they were closing their call center in India because they didn't want to take any complaint calls anymore. If you have a complaint about United, you need to write a postcard or send a letter. Now, if one of your managers came to you and said, Richard, we need to save some money, let's close the complaint call center, what would your response be?
Well, I think it's a very, 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 very short-sighted thing to do. I mean, if you can deal with a complaint properly, you can win a customer back for life, almost however badly you've messed them up. If you don't deal with them properly, why on earth should they deal with you again? Having said that, I make a point of ringing up a number of people who complain to me personally on the phone, and I get some quite amusing calls. Hello, this is Richard Branson here. Johnny, shut up, slams the phone down. But anyway, about 2 weeks ago, somebody rang about an Indian curry dish we had on Virgin Atlantic, and sent pictures and an incredibly amusing complaint, and I rang him up. Anyway, it turned out it became the biggest letter on the internet.
You're talking about Oliver Beale in his letter.
What's that?
Mr. Oliver Beale.
Oliver Beale, exactly.
Yes.
But anyway, I think if I hadn't rung him up, or if we hadn't actually dealt with the complaint, these things could be far worse.
Now, you have hired this gentleman, right?
Now he's in charge of coming and checking out to make sure that our Indian meals are also suitable for Westerners as well as for Indians. And so he comes.
That must have been quite a letter. You can find it on the internet, complete with photos, right? And a personal letter to you. Yeah. Quite a response.